What's up guys, this is Teddy. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video we're going to be talking about object-oriented programming in C#. Object-oriented programming, I always give the analogy that object-oriented programming is going to be like in Tokyo Drift when they're racing and they have like really fast cars and one of them always has like a NOS switch. Object-oriented programming is literally going to be like the NOS switch for your career. Once you learn object-oriented programming, you're going to become a lot better developer. You're going to become a lot more employable because employers want this. And really at the end of the day, what it's really all about is building better software too. Like we all want jobs and we all want to make money, but the object-oriented programming is going to be almost like the foundation, the bedrock. It's going to take a long time to master. Object-oriented programming takes a long time. It's not going to come overnight, but in this video, we're going to make something, like I said in past videos, we're going to make it very real world. This is, we're going to take it from all this just, like look at all this, and then we're going to shorten it down to this right here, and it's going to be more abstracted. So that's going to be one of our first terms in object-oriented programming. We're going to abstract it, getting tongue-tied, and then we're going to encapsulate stuff as well too. Polymorphism, I'll talk about polymorphism in a later video. This project isn't really that pertaining to polymorphism, but I'll tackle polymorphism kind of down the line, and we'll just kind of take it one step at a time. So this one's going to be more geared towards classes and just like a really base understanding. So first things first, if you don't know where this code is, what you want to do is just type in C# ping. I'm literally doing it right now. Documentation. So just type in C# documentation. And it looks like this right here. That's exactly what you need. And it's straight from the horse's mouth. This is straight from Microsoft. So if you watch my previous video, we basically coded this out right here. But you could just take this whole entire thing. Don't copy the main. If you're coming from another video, a lot of people are wondering what happened to main. .NET 6 implemented top-level statements, and top-level statements now are all of this is gone, so you don't need to worry about main. But main is just the entry point of the program. It's where the program starts. But luckily, you guys don't really have to worry about stuff like that anymore. So actually, I've already let me close that out. I was actually getting it ready, but I'm gonna code up a new one because I obviously want to code along here. So first things first is you want to go to new item. Then we're going to call this ping service. This is just calling this a service isn't necessarily a design pattern, but whenever you see the word service, that means you're doing some type of abstraction. And there's repositories and there's these other things, but whenever you see the word service, just think that you are abstracting, you are trying to basically clean up your code, if that's like a good way of saying it. So when we are abstracting is just a really fancy word for, I'm going to take all this code right here, I'm going to put it into a class so that when I run my program, I don't have all of this. I just have these 3 lines right here. So it's maybe in a sense you could call it refactoring. That could be a really simple way of explaining it, but most people are going to refer to this as abstraction. So what are we actually, so let's think about really like what a class is. Like a class at the end of the day is you're just building an object. Like think about this is just your hammer and your chisel, and you're just kind of building your own object. So before we only made variables and we only made very simple data types, but with classes, things that are stored on the heap and that are reference types, aren't you glad that I had you guys learn all that stuff? Now you won't have to worry about that. So a class is a reference type, and if you watch it, make sure you look at my video on reference types, value types, and the compiler deep dive. Whenever you see the new, this is going to create a new object, and that's what this is. So whenever you see the new keyword, that's exactly what we're creating. And the reason that we create classes is because you can bundle together data. You can bundle together all your variables that you created, and you can just have some way to keep them organized. If it makes sense like that, it's literally just like a little toolbox of variables. You can just like whip out your toolbox, you can pull, oh, here's my variable, and it's stored within this thing that we called a service. So maybe that's a little confusing to you, but first things first, with classes, you're going to have things called properties and fields. So this is a property. You could use fields too, but I think properties are probably going to be more what people are going to see. So let's just stick with properties and let's just kind of roll with that. Fields I'll talk about in a later time, but just for this introduction right here, we're just going to stick with properties. So next, so if you look at what I'm doing, if you don't know exactly what I'm doing, is I'm taking all of these variables right here that we had to instantiate and all of these like variable types, and then I'm going to kind of just bring them over to my service right here. So we can bring, hopefully this won't confuse you too much. I'll push that over to the side. So I am going to take all of these things and start putting them over into my class just one by one, and then we can delete them. But for right now, we need to declare like our little drawers and kind of like our toolbox of data here, and we need to get everything out of this class so that we can abstract it away. So first we have the timeout. Then what else do we need? We're gonna need pings. We're gonna need ping sender. So prop. Then we have to take our ping. We have to bring it in. Make sure that you bring in the right one. If you don't bring in the right one, it will, or for some reason you named your class ping, it will throw like a really crazy error and it will annoy you. So typically when you're bringing in objects like this, it's kind of convention in this design pattern to just have it look like you have just the lowercase p in the beginning. There's other ways, we'll talk about other design patterns, but for right now, consider this design pattern very simple, but not optimal. As we get more in depth, we will talk about more design patterns that you can use, but this one is the simplest way to get all of this data over here without having to worry about interfaces and all these other things, which I'll talk about into another video. But just for right now, we just need to bring over these. So ping options. So we'll bring in ping options. Then we'll have this ping options. And I'm just going to name this ping sender because it's the same as, and I'm going to name this ping options just so that it looks a little bit better. I feel weird about it just being options because I won't be able to tell what it does. But personal preference, you could just name it options if you wanted to. So the next thing that we're going to need to do, let me see here. Oh, forgot my address. Let's make sure, get the string, it's a string. So when you're taking your data and you're pulling it out of here, you also need to be cognizant of the type if you don't put the right types. So let's say data, wait a minute, data not, let me see here. Yeah, it looks good. All right, so let's keep going. If there's any other errors, we'll just figure them out later. So the next thing in every single class that you see is you're going to see this. This is called a constructor. So like I said, these classes, these things that we are building, you know, we're pulling out our hammer and our chisel. What you have to realize is that when they are created, you need to, they are instantiated. That's like the special rule to classes. You always have to be cognizant and you always have to be aware of that. They are instantiated because, like I said, there are reference types and they have to be stored on the heap. So you can't just jam them into the stack. You actually have to new them up. And when you actually new them, that's what this part right here is. That's all it is. So as soon as this thing's created, it's almost like in React, you have a on render, or I think that's the word, but it may have changed since then. So, so we're gonna have timeout. It's been a while since I've coded in React. I actually had like a really good React project going on, but I noticed my YouTube channel was doing a lot better. So I was like, it's probably a little bit wiser right now to focus on the YouTube, and maybe, I don't know, if I get bored of YouTube, then I will, consider, other avenues. Who knows? All right, I'm just having fun. All right, so encoding, we have to bring in our encoding. We can just take this, toss that in here. There probably could be a better way of actually going through and, let me see. So this would be what you would send to the actual client, and it will just send them in bytecode. So whenever it actually, somewhere in that packet or somewhere in that Ethernet header, there's going to be learn to code. It's almost just like a very subtle troll. Learn to code, that's what it's going to send to Google when we ping Google servers. All right, so we have our ping. Let me see here. So this one is going to be ping. We've got our ping sender. Then ping, we're going to initialize it because we need that object in there. So right here, the only thing that I did was I just brought it into the constructor so that when I actually create this class, which I'll show you here in a second, it will initialize, and this object will be available within this actual class. So we're pulling in objects from other places. That's it. That's like such a crazy thing to think. Like we're just gonna reach in. While we're making our own object, we're gonna reach in and we're actually gonna create another object as well too. That's like fascinating, I think. Maybe not. This is so much fun. I love doing this. All right, ping options. All right, then we have to bring in our don't fragment. It's going to be true. All right, so look at this part right here. And I'm just going to close out of this. Because I have to bring over the program. So when we create our class and we're refactoring it, we have to instantiate this service right here. So what's going to do, it's going to instantiate, but at this point, that's the only thing our class can do. We don't have any other way to actually, have this class do anything. This is super, super important. If you don't remember anything, think of a class as almost like a person. Like a person can have state. This is state. This is what is being held at state that you can manipulate in data that's already in the program. Methods are how you manipulate data, because if you think about it, like software can only do so many. Like I said, software is actually at the end of the day very simple. And if you have, like I said, if you think about it from that point, like a human being can have state. I can have state as in like I can have static things, like I can have hair, but in order for me to actually do things, I need to do things too, and those are what methods are. So think about like that. Hopefully I did not confuse you too much. So we go in here. This is really what we're trying to make right here. And after we get all of this figured out, we could actually probably delete like a bunch of this. Let me see here. All right. So we actually have to make the method that will send our ping. So this is typically what you think about when you're thinking about a function. So now our class or our service that we've just made, we need to send this ping. So first we have ping reply, because we have to get that reply out of there, because this is actually what's doing the sending. So we have reply, then we have ping. Yeah, it's called ping sender. Ping sender dot send. Then we're going to pass in our state, or our stuff that is up there with all these props and all of these little properties, getters and setters. And I'll actually go back and give you another analogy for what properties are after I finish this. Then we have our buffer. Getting a little carried away there. All right. Then we have ping options. Also, make sure that you have ping options don't fragment because it could error. It's a possibility. So next, we actually have to apply some condition because when if people like these courses, I will probably build on top of it. But for right now, let's just keep it really simple and let's just return a bool. We could return we could return another object. Think about that. That's super cool to think about. We could actually return like an object. Or maybe if we did multiple pings, we could return a list of pings. But for right now, we're just going to have it return a bool, and we're just going to keep it really simple. So here, let's go back to our program. So down here, let me see. I'm just going to copy and paste it because we really don't need anything else. So we can just take all this right here, and then we're going to put it into our ping service. Go down, then we'll have an else because like I said, if you put bool here, you have to return a bool. You cannot, like, there's no other choice. If you have a bool, you have to return something. So if it fails, we're just going to have false. And there's probably a better way that we could do the logic to make it more robust, but just for these cases, let's not get too carried away. Then we're going to return true. So like I said, we have to return true. And it steps through. So let's go ahead. I'll explain a little bit more about what these things are. So a get and a set is in Java. You have to actually go down here. There's something called lombok that will automate it. So I do give Java credit that. But one of the bad things about Java, and this will kind of give you like an idea. So this actually means this. So it's a return type of an int, so we have to specify it's an int. And then in Java, you have to actually do stuff like this. Like you have to explicitly say, get data, and then you have to go down and you actually have to return the data. But in C#, you don't have to actually do any of that. You just go straight up here, and that actually means that. So whenever you are accessing data, like if we just went down here and if we just went into here, sneak peek, and went ping service and then went dot, data, you would be able to access that data, or you could set that data too if you just wanted to maybe set some kind of data or for whatever reason plug your service into there. Don't know why you would do that, but I'm sure there is somebody who would be interested in doing that. So we've already got all of this right here. We can boom. That's all gone. We don't even have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and see if this thing works. Then we're going to bring in our service. I haven't even tested this out yet. We'll see if it works like legitimately. Like I have no idea if this is gonna work. I have not tested this out beforehand. So I'm gonna go ahead, set the debugger, and I'll show you guys what this object that we created actually looks like. And this is super important. So we're gonna go ahead, set that debugger. All right, we step through it. Make sure you hit either F10 or you click on the step over button, which is the one right here in the middle. It's going to... okay. I was like, oh my gosh. All right, so look at that. Look at our neat little drawer for all of our data, and it's not all out here in our main program. And that's kind of like the very beginning of OOP and what is kind of like the idea, the whole entire idea of object-oriented programming, and the very infant stages. Like this could keep going. We could just keep you're talking about object-oriented programming for millions and millions of lines of code, and that was like object-oriented programming for like 100 lines of code. So you could imagine how difficult or easy it is. Okay, so here, and it's supposed to, actually I'm going to put this var response. I think it did work. I hope it did. Var response, and then we are going to put our response in there so it looks a little bit better. You probably could have just left it, but it makes it look a little bit better. It goes down there, we see our response. Boom! True! Got him! Sweet, badass. So we just literally built the service. Went into our program. Let's go through that one more time. Let's look at that little sucker. Man, it's a beaut. It's a beaut. All right. So watch what happens. That's so cool. Goes in. It's going to create it. Step into it. It's going to create all of our data. So like I said, once you turn on your class right here, that's what happens. It goes in and it actually executes that constructor. And then it stores all of your other data that you need too in these little variables up here. So this is the state, this is the constructor, and these are the actual methods that act upon our data. And at the end of the day, programming can't really do much else. So we go down here, then we step into it. So if you want to see like what your service actually does, you have to step into your service. So we stepped into it, we created a reply. Look at that reply. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. And because it was a success, we're going to go down. It was not a success. What is going on? The first one was a success. What in the heck? You guys saw that, didn't you? I have no idea why. Let me try it again. It might have been because it's debugging. Yep, and it's true. All right. Anyway, hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to watch out because I'm going to be hopefully creating more videos on object-oriented programming. That was just like a nice little project that we could go off of. If you guys like this, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.